Hi, welcome to our show, Can We Just Talk? And today I'm joined by my two favorite partners in crime, Tammy and Ash.
Hello, Intan.
Hi, Intan.
Hi. So today we're going to be talking about a topic that's very close to all our hearts, travel. I'm going to start with Tammy. Where was the last country that you traveled to? Can you remember?
Yeah, so the last country that I traveled to was actually India, and so happened it was that period where everyone was starting to be very cautious of COVID-19. So I remember I landed in India and there was this girl next to me at the immigration where we were trying to get into India. She was rejected entry because she was in China in December. So I was actually kind of worried because I was also in China year end, but I cannot really remember when. And then I quickly checked my passport. It was November. And the guy at the immigration told me, okay, November is fine. It's just that if you're there in December, you wouldn't be able to enter. So thank God I got in. I did my events and everything was great. But that time was the beginning of COVID-19 in February, around there. So that was actually my last trip. And I was actually really happy I got to go to India. It's one of the countries that I really wanted to go.
Oh.
So that was actually in my memory. If outside of Malaysia, that was the last country I visited.
Right. What about you, Ash?
I decided to put off traveling in 2019. Not for like reasons of fatigue or anything. I was thinking, okay, let's just take a year off, and then in 2020, go completely crazy and just tick off a couple of boxes and travel, like really do like 2 travels. Because I think previously I just did one major travel in per year, and then okay, that's enough budget wise as well. But yeah, so I thought 2019, let's replenish the finances,
Right,
so to
yes.
speak. And so my last travel was actually in 2018, was to Munich for work. I've been in Munich a couple of times, but so that was the last one, and I always like going there. I don't know, it just feels like so Tammy's like a travel buddy of mine, and I think I kind of sold her the idea of Munich as well.
I actually like Munich better than Berlin. So a lot of my friends sold me Berlin. So I was super excited to go to Berlin.
How did she sell you Berlin? What did she say that made you so excited about?
I'm not sure.
Don't remember this.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's Ash, but I know my former boss told me Berlin is really clean, very modern, very nice. But actually, as a tourist, I actually find Munich nicer because I just feel the architecture is more, how to say, gives you that really, Europe kind of feel.
Tabby and I, part of our travels is that, especially for Europe, what we decided to do was we did a lot of walking tours, and we did a lot of walking because, and it's Europe, right? It's a crime if you don't, walk to places. Or I personally like the little places that I took her to so bad. Like I just wanted to go to the places that I like. But yeah, there's certain places that we maybe didn't go. I think one was a castle. I can't remember the name. I think you wanted to go to that castle, but we didn't have time on our schedule to do that. Everything's very accessible. There's a lot of things to see. There's also I just find it really, the market, it's just a very nice and easy travel
destination.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
If you want to go to museums, there's museums. If you want to go to the park, the big park is there. The English Gardens.
Yeah.
Very nice.
What about you, Intan? What was the last place you've been to?
Okay, it just feels like such a long time ago, right? I mean,
it is a long time ago.
Yeah, I think like, considering that I'm someone who generally will take a trip out once a year. So I think to miss the whole chunk of, was it last year when the pandemic started?
Whole chunk of last year.
Yeah, it feels like forever. But the only country I can recall going to, off the top of my mind, was probably Tokyo, Japan. But that was part work, and and then I extended. So, and it so happened that it was springtime, so I could see the cherry blossoms. But it was cold. But I remember actually Tokyo itself was bustling. But I'm not really a town person. So my best friend and I actually did a trip out to, I think, one of those heritage towns. So, the old Japan kind of feel. Yeah. So I remember that. And I remember wanting to visit some baseball stadiums as well in Japan,
Oh,
in
Right.
Tokyo. So I did that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's about the extent of my memory of travel. I mean, it's really quite tragic because I feel like it's been forever since we
yeah.
traveled.
It's
Yeah.
interesting that you say you don't like a city travel.
Okay. I mean, I love museums and galleries, and I like walking. No, I don't like to do tours. I like to walk by myself. I research and then I'll sort of plan out where I want to go.
Yeah.
But I don't actually like to go in a big group, a tour group or anything like that. I'm not saying I don't like cities, but I think having been brought up, in London, for example, because it's a city. But London is great because you see a lot of nice buildings and that. But if you ask me my preference, I would prefer to head out to the countryside. But I would want to be in the city for the galleries and the museums and the cultural stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. So, what kind of traveler are you? I mean, what kind of things do you look out for when you decide, okay, I'm going to go to this country or this country?
I think I'm pretty, how to say, I like everything. That's the problem. The good thing is I can go with anyone to anywhere, except I think sports events. Like I like
Oh,
historical sites, I like museums, but I also like those walking tours where they visit all these, historical sites and they give you insights about that particular place. Those are the kind of things that I do enjoy. That's why when we were actually in Europe with Ashrina, she introduced me to all these walking tours, and I really, really liked those. When we were in London, we walked 6 hours, and I learned so much about,
wow.
yes,
Yeah.
it's the
You walked
strawberry tour.
6 hours.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
amazing. Seriously, the best experience. And I would say, because we went to Berlin, we did another one, right?
Yeah.
And then
We did
we went
two.
to,
Two in
no, we
Berlin.
did one more in Netherlands. The guy who
Yes.
talked about that pee thing, yeah, that device
Yeah.
which reflects your pee. So for people who are drunk and they pee by the streets, there's this device which will reflect your pee and electrocute you. Yeah, so I find that story the most interesting one
What?
during our tour in Netherlands, because there is nothing else.
We did a Euro tour together, and every city we tried to do at least one walking tour. But in London, the one that we actually went for, which was the strawberry tours, were a London in a day. So we actually saw, I think, about 11 different sites.
Yeah.
Like,
And he took us to Lloyd's and explained to us
Yeah.
why the buildings were inside out.
Yeah.
And
And that
we liked
street,
that.
is it Fleet Street where it
Fleet
was
Street.
Yes, yes, he took
originally
us to
the
the
media hub, right?
The media.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah, correct. So was it a big group? Was it a big tour? Or was it just the two of us? That's two of you, sorry.
It's a
It
big
was
tour.
about 20 maybe.
Yeah.
Do you reckon? Yeah,
Oh,
20,
a lot
about
of
20
people.
people.
Right. Yeah, because London's a great place for walking tours, right? Because
London.
I mean, especially if you're on the, I think, central side, then there's always everything's so close together. And it's like, all the landmarks, the major landmarks are pretty close to each other, right?
Yep.
Okay, what's the one place that you dream of going to? It's at the top of your bucket list, pandemic aside, budget aside as well. Tell me.
My dream country, to be honest, there is no one place. There are so many countries I want to go to. Like, this is serious. I cannot just give a place, unfortunately. But I think if you talk about the next place that I want to go, New Zealand, because I know in fact you told me so much about it, about this caravan thing that I really want to go.
So New Zealand is on pretty much high up there on your list?
Yes.
Awesome.
I mean, as in once the borders open, that's where I'm going.
And how do you think the experience going to be?
Because I think right now with all this that's happening, a countryside vacation sounds great. If I were to choose a vacation, I would also prefer a quiet kind of vacation. But unfortunately, I'm a city girl, so I also like the
bright lights,
the convenience of
the shopping.
Of staying in the city center, right? There's definitely much more food and convenience.
The cafes and the coffee.
Exactly.
On the subject of coffee, wherever you go in South Island, New Zealand, whether it's in a town with only 5 houses or it's in the countryside, deep in the countryside, the one
Okay.
thing they will always have is a very good cafe. So no problem about that.
Wow,
But they
that's
serve good
interesting.
coffee too.
They do. And it's all consistent and it all tastes the same. And I
Yeah.
think maybe it's because of the good milk,
Mm-mm.
right? Because the crops there are,
Ah, I'm so excited right now,
yeah.
seriously.
What about you, Ash?
So this got me thinking, like when I was younger, I always wanted to do a trip where I could do bungee jumping
Oh gosh.
or like, jump out of a skydiving. I wanted to jump out of a plane, but yeah, skydiving
Oh,
or
my goodness.
even orbing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can do it in Singapore, so you don't have
No,
to go
but
far.
this is the thing. So I've always wanted to do orbiting, right? I was like, I've got to go to New Zealand because that's the
Yeah,
only
you can
place I'm
do
gonna do
that.
orbiting. Well,
Yeah.
it so happened that I actually did orbiting here.
Oh,
Where?
Oh God, it was like the smallest little hill, and they stuck us in and poured some water into the tube and just rolled us down this hill. And I tell you, it's enough because you feel like you're in a washing machine. Yeah. So New Zealand is yeah. If I get to do skydiving or something like that, then yes, New Zealand seems pretty cool.
Oh
But
yeah, Queenstown's the capital of adrenaline fueled sports,
yeah,
right?
like just one off, nothing's completely crazy, but just
Right.
talking
the fun of
about
it.
this, did you know, Intan, because you grew up in the UK, there is this place in Oxford where there is a plane and you can stand on top of the plane and they fly you.
Oh,
This is something probably that has come way after I left England because I don't think they did anything like that when I was there. So
That
I think
is one thing I want to do.
as you know, as the years go by, people want more excitement. So people are sort of trying to, outdo each other with
Yeah.
experience, right? So
Yeah.
I'm guessing this Oxford madness is as a result of tourist demand to do
Yeah.
more and more
Yes.
mad stuff. Do you
Yes.
think?
Yeah, but
definitely.
that experience seems kind of fun, and I checked it out. It's gonna cost like 2,000 ringgit Malaysia just to probably kill yourself. Yeah, but you literally stand on top of
Oh
the
my.
twin flaps, so you'll
Yeah,
be
yeah.
seated on one of those flaps.
Right.
And there are 3 levels. One will bring you like swirling around. That's the extreme.
So wait, are you actually off the ground? Are you in the
Yeah.
sky?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I can't think of anything worse.
That's fun. I thought that would be fun.
Are you guys all adrenaline junkies? I'm
Well,
getting worried.
No.
Not really, but coming back to that question, the other thing would be like to do a train Trans-Siberia kind of train ride and then
That would be
get
fun.
on to
Yes,
Scandinavia. That's
Oh,
one.
but
Budget
you can
aside, right?
no, you can do that in New Zealand as well. I think what is it called? I can't remember. Oh, it's called the
New
Trans.
Zealand's coming off
Yes.
a very good
It's
promo
called
here.
it's called the Trans Alpine because you literally go into the mountains. So it's like a round trip, and then you eventually get back to where you started. Check it
Can
out.
we do
Check
it on when we are going on that caravan trip?
Yes, it can be done, but it all depends on how long you are
Mhm.
able to get away from your respective
2
jobs.
years.
Wow.
I wish.
I wish too.
Oh,
But yeah,
dear.
what about you, Intan? Please don't tell us New
Yeah.
Zealand also, because
Well, you know what? The one place, okay, apart from New Zealand, South Island, because I think like I've been there like 5 times, but there are still nooks and crannies that I've not been to.
Yeah, for
but okay,
sure.
now that you've told me, I cannot say New Zealand, so I'm not going to say New Zealand. But the one place that I've always wanted to go to, another place is Sicily.
Wow.
Sicily or Santorini. So those have been like my childhood dreams. And I think
Yes.
Sicily is simply because of The Godfather. Santorini, of course, I mean, you see all the postcards, you see the pictures. I mean, it's just so amazing, right? But I wonder
Yeah.
whether in reality it's
Yeah.
actually as picturesque. I had a friend who went to Santorini, and apparently all these postcard pictures that you see or the photos that you see actually only show the front part. And then if you sort of take a 360 kind of view, and you'll see like it's actually not all that.
I do know someone who actually also went to Santorini, and they said that the seafood was like the freshest they've ever had.
But I think Santorini as a destination is quite a pricey destination as well.
Yeah.
Right. So do you find that you let your budget determine how your eventual itinerary looks like or what you do? Or is it the other way around? You sort of know this is what I want to do and I'm just going to get the money together.
Definitely the latter for me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, just making sure that you do things that you want to do, and then I feel like for those things you shouldn't compromise, but you can always compromise on something else. You can always kind of work around your budget for everything else. I feel like for me, if to say I overspend, I always overspend on like souvenirs. Like I'm a
That's
You're a
shopping.
tourist. You're a
no,
That's
no, like
shopping.
yeah, okay, yeah, it is. But like
Yeah.
our flight was delayed from where were we? We were
London to Amsterdam.
yeah, London to Amsterdam. We were delayed, and guess what happened? I bought 3 pairs of Union Jack socks
At the airport.
at the airport. Like, what am I doing?
Yo, but London has really
But
nice
I still
souvenirs.
have them, and they're cute.
Yeah.
I still have the London lip balm, which I have no idea why. I have 9.
Wow.
I wanted to
Wow,
buy it
where
as
did you buy
souvenir.
this?
Yeah, I have 9 sticks. Because these lip balms, they are shaped like those London soldiers.
Oh wow.
Right. So have you used any of them?
I used one. I gave my mom one. She didn't like it. I gave some of my friends, but apparently I don't have a lot of friends. That's why I still have.
Where,
Oh my god, where
But
did you
they
get that from?
Same place where you got your socks.
oh my goodness, the tourist trap.
Tourist
Ash,
traps.
Yes.
Ash, you mentioned earlier that there are some things which you will not compromise on. I think when I was a lot younger, I wasn't too fussed about when it comes to accommodation. I wasn't too fussy, but I realized as I got older, and I think it's also, being in the line of work that I'm in has spoiled me, right? I don't think I can contemplate being in a dorm of 10 people.
Oh
I have,
god.
yes,
Yeah.
so I have issues with that, and for me, I would readily and happily shell out a little bit extra, so I don't have to put up with that. And I also get sort of a bit anal about security, especially when I'm in a different country.
Okay.
So yeah, and other things generally, I like you guys. I will not stinge on the things that I want to do, and
Yeah.
definitely not on food, because I remember, when I went on a trip with a couple of girlfriends. So they insisted that in order for us to save money and cut costs, that we just needed to cook all the time. But for me, I was like, but the reason why you are in another country is you want to try their cuisine, right?
Yes.
So the compromise was that, okay, at least one of the dinner or one of the meals could be outside. So it could be, in any of the restaurants or cafes. But the other times, maybe for lunch, then we will cook something. So because I think I'm referring more to the caravan travel, because, you obviously have the facilities to cook.
I mean, be
So-
rest assured that I will never cook during vacation. I barely cook on normal days. And I'm not gonna try to figure out how to cook.
Can
on
I
vac-
just tell you, part of the charm, part of the fun of being on a caravan trip, simply because, when you park your caravan in the caravan park, and you go out and use their facilities, that's when you meet all the other travelers as you're cooking. You're
Camping
literally
style.
not quite, because the kitchens are fully equipped. So all you need to do is maybe you go out to the supermarket and you buy, I don't know, frozen pies, or, vegetables or meat, and you just plonk it in the oven, or you just plonk it, you just make it. And it's so much fun, because you get to meet other travelers. And then, that's the beauty of caravan travel, because if you like meeting people, that's a good
I
way.
think Ash would love that. Ash
Yeah?
loves to meet
Yeah.
people. Ash is
Oh,
the talker on the trip. Yeah,
right.
I'm very quiet actually. I don't really talk to people unless really necessary. But Ash, do you want to share your story, or should I share your
Oh
story?
yeah. Go ahead.
No, because Ash is a person who likes to get to know people when she travels a lot. So most of the time it's great. But then there was this one experience in Yogyakarta. I mean, I think I told this story before too, but she was on this bus, or was it a train?
We were on this bus.
Yeah. She met this guy, local. They got to talk. We were going to this place called the Borobudur. It's kind of like a temple. So to go in, if a local buys your ticket, it's gonna be cheaper. So yeah, so Ash got this kind guy who told us that he is on his way home and he will pass by Borobudur. So he offered to buy our tickets. So the next thing we know, he bought the tickets, but he was waiting for us inside, meaning he was also joining us.
We thought he would just help us buy the tickets and then that would be it,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, he ended up getting
Planning
in. So
to
we were like,
join us.
oh.
Yeah,
we
he
great
did.
cashed our.
I was kind of concerned just because
Yeah.
I travel with a lot of at work, my colleague, they are very vigilant, very observant, and very experienced travelers. So I learned from them to not always trust people, to be a bit more observant. So when I see this dude, he was always on his phone calling people. I get a bit scared because I don't know what he was planning. We were 3 girls, you know, he could have gotten his friends to come rob us, attack us. So I was kind of worried. And so eventually, you know, we have to go and tell him like, dude, you're not really welcome, in the most polite way, in the best bahasa Indonesian that we can muster. We try to make him understand.
I must say, Tammy took care of this.
Yeah, because Ash is really friendly. So in that sense, we learn a lot when you speak with locals.
Oh yeah.
You know, that is the best part. Like, but there are also certain risks that comes with just, you know.
I mean, just a sort of like an explanation, if not, or people are thinking like I'm crazy just talking to random strangers. No, it's sometimes when you talk to locals, they'll tell you things about places that maybe you were not aware of. But that one, I think if I had a do-over, I would not have spoken.
Were there any experiences like this for you, Intan?
Yeah, did you ever encounter trouble?
No. Off the top of my head, I cannot recall anything of that nature with human beings. For being friendly, but I do recall of a harrowing experience. I think when I was in Paris, just sort of arrived at Gare du Nord, the main railway station, and I think I literally broke away from my group for very briefly to purchase a ticket for something else. And then I realized when I got to the ticket counter that all my money had been fleeced. But luckily, because I was traveling with a bunch of friends, they had money. So I remember I was warned that there was a syndicate of Eastern European gypsies. So, and they used to work in groups. So what they do is they will distract you with the children, and then somehow, you know, you're distracted, and apparently they hypnotize you. Apparently that's the modus operandi. So these things happen. But I think, so the bad experience, the only ones I can recall is something of that nature. But as far as with fellow travelers, I've had a great time, because I think I'm like Ash. I like to talk to people.
And
really
that
nice.
is why I like to travel with people like you guys, because I won't talk. No, serious. I was in Hawaii when I was myself. I went on this tour. I don't talk to anyone, but I just listen to other people talk. So like if I travel with people,
I find that hard to believe, because you're so chatty, Tammy. How is it possible that you can
I'm only
talk?
chatty with my friend. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, I mean, I need some time to warm up with people, like, so I don't really approach strangers. So when I was in Hawaii, I was very lucky, just because of work, I have to interact with the locals. Like you guys said, right? They have the best information. And this driver, who is now, I would consider one of my friends, because he still texted me on my birthday, like last year. Yeah, he actually helped me replan my itinerary for my media. So I mean, I was very grateful to him. I think he was like a really, really nice dude. That's why I say meeting locals are really, really great. You know, that's why I go with friends who can mingle and, you know, make new friends, and I just suddenly be part of the group.
When we travel, my friends tell me I'm like the resident GRO, you know. I'll be the one who sort of, you know, brings everybody together.
That's awesome.
But have you ever had any can you recall any harrowing moments on any of your travel that sort of panicked you a bit?
So I think the scariest for me, maybe Cambodia. I forgot that place
Cambodia.
Yeah, because I forgot that place is like a hub for sex trafficking, and they kidnap a lot of women.
Oh.
So I actually thought like I get adventurous. So I walked out to hunt for restaurants, you know, because I was alone. So I just want to check the streets and stuff. So I walked out. On the way back, it was really dark. And then suddenly I just realized that I have put myself in a lot of danger, because I was alone in this very dangerous city. But I got back safe, thank God. But because the hotel that my company put me in is a casino, I can tell you, I saw a lot of things there. Yeah. I saw a guy
exciting.
Yeah, I saw a guy beating a hooker. Like, this is really just right in front of the hotel. And I saw a wife chasing the husband, asking back for money, I think. I don't know what she was screaming, but I saw so many things in Cambodia. It's like it's a very beautiful country, but the women in Cambodia, they are just very disrespected, and you know, their husbands treat them like shit. I mean, I've been through and heard so many stories there about the locals, which makes me very frustrated for the women there. Yeah, so yeah, it's very dangerous too. My boss, my former boss, almost got robbed, and because he's a New Yorker, yeah, he's one of the guys who taught me how to be very observant, you see. When we were in Cambodia, like one point we were crossing the road, he suddenly just pulled me back, and then I was like, what happened? And he was like, don't you see that motorcycle, he has been circling this road? So he noticed things like that. I don't. So
I get I mean, I'm not being racist or anything, but I have to tell you that when it comes to choosing countries, you know, to travel to, I don't actually have many of the Southeast Asian destinations high on my list. Which I mean, I don't know for what reason, but yeah, it tends to be like more Europe and the US sometimes, but that's why I have never encountered, you know, what Tammy's just mentioned, because I feel I kind of feel Europe feels a lot safer.
Oh yeah, it does.
But yeah, I think when I choose as well destinations, I do have that quite high in mind, because I tend to go with girlfriends.
yes.
You know, so I always worry about that security aspect as well at the back of my mind, I think. So okay, I have a last question. Since we all seem to be pretty well traveled people, if there was something that you've learned from having traveled to all these countries, if you had to give a tip, what would be the one tip that you would give that you find particularly useful?
At this point, I would say travel insurance. I am a person who never thought of travel insurance.
You'd never buy.
I mean, I always buy now, but because for people who don't always travel, I think you should really consider buying it. It's not expensive. And I'm not talking about the one that covers you on the plane. I'm talking about your health insurance. So what happened was, when we were on our trip to Korea, my entire family, none of us thought about insurance, obviously, but my dad, being so careful, meticulous, he was like, we should buy health insurance for the travel specifically. But when we were there, guess what? My brother had caught a very bad virus.
Wow.
And he had to go to the hospital. So and obviously we don't speak Korean. It was really hard. We have to call the Malaysian travel insurance, and they guided us to the hospital, and they basically took care of all the bills, because in Korea there are no clinics. Okay, if you're sick, you go to the hospital. Yeah, you will never be able to find a clinic. All the clinics are cosmetic clinics.
But you were covered by the insurance that you took?
Yeah,
wow,
so
that was lucky.
That's why I said,
in a similar vein, insurance is always very important. But for me, I actually lost my luggage on my last trip. Was very eventful to Munich. So I got on the train to go to the airport, and the train had some technical issues, and so it was delayed, and it just basically didn't move. And the minutes were ticking, right? And I thought I was gonna miss my flight. So I end up at the airport, and as I get to the airport, they're like, your flight's been delayed, so but it's okay, we'll check you in, and then just get to the gate and check again. So I said fine, and then everything's fine at the gate and it's okay. So I was waiting for the flight, and then on the PA system they said, this flight has been delayed for this many hours. So I was like, cannot, because I have a connecting flight in Amsterdam. So I went over and I said, I have a connecting flight. And they said, don't worry, we'll sort this out for you. And my baggage was already checked in, right, to this other airline. I had to go to the other end of the airport, because now my flight is with another airline. And they said, don't worry, the bag will get to you. It'll be fine. So I get on the airplane. It's the worst seat ever. The last one, right next to the toilet and in the corner. And I can't put my seat down. And it's a straight flight to Singapore from Munich. I don't know. That was the worst flight I've ever had in my life. And when I get to Singapore, I asked them again, is my bag? And then they're like, yeah. But the answer was, not a very nice answer. They were like, if you look out the window, do you see an airplane? They said, yes. Yeah, so your bag's on it. So I was like,
wow.
fine. Like so much attitude. And I've had like the most, I'm just tired at this point. Like I just want to go home and I just want to go and sleep. So I reached KL and I'm like at the baggage carousel and like everybody's been picking off their bags, right? So I was still standing there and I was like, this cannot be it. And I think KLIA had very attentive staff. I wasn't waiting for very long. It was maybe just 5 minutes after everyone's basically gone. And he came over, he's like, are you looking for your bag? And I said, yes. And he's like, chances are if this is how it is, your bag did not arrive with you. Then he said, okay, tell me what the bag is like, give me the color and everything. So I gave him all my boarding pass and he showed him and I explained to him the situation because I had to change so many flights. He basically told me, he's like, do you have your receipts with you? Because if you want to claim for your bag or for things that you've bought on your trip. And I was like, oh God. Then he said, the receipts are in the bag. I said, yes. Then he's like, if not, they can actually reimburse you. So
that's right.
That's how the insurance worked. So I didn't have it, but my bag arrived though 2 days later. And honestly, KLIA, props to them. They did a very nice job because I would call them every day and I got it within, I think about 2 days. I was very happy, but yeah, so keep your receipts with you at all times. And
that's a good lesson.
Very
Now
good
that you
lesson.
mentioned that, because I think like based on something that happened to me, I realized apart from insurance, the importance of actually having an extra bag that you bring on board where you have at least change of clothing.
Yes.
You have your toiletries and of course, the bits and pieces. Because something like this happened to me when I was actually sent to the Goethe Institute in Rothenburg, Germany. So what happened was my luggage never arrived. So yes, I had class the next day. I had arrived in Rothenburg. My luggage hadn't come with me and I did not have the foresight to think that I should have a bag with at least, a change of clothing.
Yes.
So I literally landed in Rothenburg, bagless, clothesless. So what happened was, I think they took pity on this Asian girl who was obviously distraught, right? Because that was the first time that I arrived in the country. So they were kind enough to give me some cash, some money, so that the next morning I could go to the local shops and buy myself some clothes. But my bag actually didn't arrive until a week later.
Oh my God.
And by the time my luggage arrived, about a week later, it was half smashed anyway. So thankfully, I didn't have any valuables in there. And they were not very helpful. The airline was not very helpful.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, so I think we've come to the end of the show. It's been really interesting. So I hope you guys enjoyed, reminiscing your travels and sharing your stories. And I know it's quite depressing because we don't even know when we can travel again, but at least we can relive the good memories. And I think there's lots to look forward to, right? So I think use this time to amass the budget. Until the next time, I guess it's bye for me.
And
Yes, thank you. This
Good
was
night,
fun.
everyone.